Hey there YouTube, AJ here, and today we're going to be digging into this Wilton Vintage Vise that I got off of Facebook Marketplace. Now, I am not an expert on these vices. I've wanted one for a long time. I like the look of the bullet vices. I've always wanted a bigger, heavier duty vise than the little one I have on my mobile table. And this came up, I went and looked at it, and I ended up buying it. Although I'm not sure if I got a good deal or not now. Looking at the vise, for someone that is familiar with Wilton vices, so you probably see a lot of things already. This is a 4-inch vise, and it has a casting number here of 9400. I don't know if that's a part number or a model number or what. From the research I've done, it does say Schiller Park on here, not Chicago, which means it's probably post 57, so it's like made after 1957. With experience with these vices, when I went and looked at it, I didn't know hardly anything about these vices other than I liked them, and that they were expensive. And when I went and looked at it, I was very confused by this long threaded end sticking out of the vise. Someone that was familiar with these vices will probably tell you right away that that's not normal. Neither is this hexagon shape on the end here of what's supposed to be the bullet cap. And the more you look at it, and the closer you look at it, someone familiar with the vise will realize that this is quite a bit larger than the traditional lead screw that goes through here, and it is also a standard type threading, not the Acme screw thread that is normally on a vise and heavy equipment like this. Again, the nut that's been used here, I've wiped this down since I got it, so like when I first got it I couldn't see this brazing in here, so now I do. Anyway, so basically this vise has been modified. And then this part down here is a very large heavy duty bar with nuts welded on the ends of it. That's not normal. Someone more familiar would pick that up. Also over here on a Wilton vise, there should be a horseshoe shaped collar that bolts to the movable jaw and holds whatever this piece is called into the vise, so that when you go to widen the jaws, it pulls it open. I only have one of the bolts and hold downs that where it should have two. One over here is missing, and there's some damage to the jaws. There's someone's cut into it there. Looks like a saw hit it. The jaws are cut pretty worn in here, but you know, that's to be expected. And the anvil is kind of messed up. It's not smooth like it's supposed to be. Now that said, what am I going to do with this vise? I am not going to restore it. I bought this vise to actually use. However, I'm not thrilled with this giant screw sticking out. This is an 1 1/8" diameter thread. Can't remember what size these are supposed to be from my research, but I want to say like 5/8 to 3/4. I can't remember, maybe it was bigger, I'm not sure, but I know it wasn't 1 1/8". And I know this handle was not this large and wasn't supposed to have these on here. Now, I don't hate this. I can live with this, but I will round off the ends of this. The future of this vise kind of depends on what I find inside. I'm thinking right now I want to try to kind of bring it back to where it is a true bullet nose again. But I am going to continue to use this screw. I don't want to have to find a new whatever this piece and that lead screw is called. I don't want to have to find that and pay for it because they're expensive. I need to do something about this. The way I'm planning on using it, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the swivel base, and I want to get another hold down or make one, I'm not sure. But I'm probably not going to mount it on the swivel base for my use. I'll just keep the swivel base separate. That's because I'm going to mount it on a post. For those of you that are purists, you're not going to like the color I painted. In my garage, every tool that I rebuild or modify, when I clean it up and paint it, it normally gets some combination of orange and black, and that's probably the way I'll go with this, just because I like that kind of continuity in my life. Other than that, one of the things I was looking for, a vise with wider jaws, and I hadn't been able to find one, or the ones I found were super expensive. So one of the things I'm thinking I'm going to do with this, since it does have this extra big screw in it, I think I'm going to widen the jaws out and make this thing like a 5-inch at least. And I'm basically going to try to weld a piece on each side of the jaws here and make new jaws for the inside of it, and hopefully that'll work. Other than that, I don't know what else I'm gonna really do, and it kind of all depends on what I find inside. So let's go ahead and get this thing taken apart. Okay, so what do we got? So far, our swivel mount looks good. I don't see anything that looks broken or tore up. All the teeth look good, so the swivel mount looks really good. Yeah, the ears don't appear to have been welded or anything or fixed, so that looks good. The locating pin is there in good shape. The one bolt and our hold down, so not bad. That part looks good. We're gonna hold off on this. Let's go over here to the movable jaw. Let's wipe down and see if we can see a date. All right, there it is. I don't know if you can see that, but it's showing a date of December 31st, 1962. So it doesn't have the guarantee markings on it, so that's not the expiration date of the warranty. That's, I assume, is the actual manufacturer's date. So looks like it was made New Year's Eve 1962. So let's see what else we got here. So looking at the movable jaw quickly, and on the bottom here you can see it looks like it was gas welded here. So this has been gas welded in, so this isn't coming apart. So it looks like I'm gonna leave this part. I don't feel like cutting this up and trying to remake the way it was original for my uses. Again, you got to remember, I'm just making this nice for me to use. I'm going to be using it for my fabrication purposes on my motorcycle and my hot rod, so and other things. But so I don't see a reason to fix this, change this massive thing. I will round this up and make these look more like regular knobs, not just bolt nuts welded on here. Yeah, let's do that. Now, if we look at our non-movable jaw, inside here, there's supposed to be a case nut that has the threads that the thing rides on, and that's supposed to go inside of this extension on the movable jaw. It's supposed to be pinned through the cone down here. We can see all that's gone. This is going to be joyous. So what am I going to do now? If I want to get rid of all this extra threading on the outside, I've got to do some kind of case nut. I either have to find a case nut with that size thread, which isn't likely, or I'm going to have to make one. So I'm going to have to figure that part out. Other than that, everything looks good. You know, a couple major things. Now I could just go ahead and clean this up, paint it, and reassemble it the way it is and use it. It's functional. I don't like it though. I don't like this sticking out. I want to do something about that. So I think the first step here is to degrime all this, paint the pieces that are going to be painted, get it ready, think what I gotta do is basically cut this nut off and figure out how I'm going to make a case nut to attach to this base that'll go inside of here. That's gonna be fun, because now I don't have a lathe, or at least the lathe, I got a little tiny lathe, but it's not big enough to make something like that. I don't want to pay for that, so I'll have to figure something else out. In the meantime, let's start degunkifying everything. And other than cutting off this screw, this is not going to really get touched. It's just going to get cleaned. Oh no, I'm going to weld. No, I got to weld those on too. All right, never mind that. All right, let's get it cleaned up, and while I'm cleaning it up, I'll think about what it is I'm actually going to do. Okay, we get the heavy crap off of it, so let's take a look at what we got. This piece seems to be fine. Everything looks to be in good shape on it. No problems there, even though I'm probably not going to be using it. Our one singular bolt and hold down is kind of pitted, but not too bad. It does have a bend in this shaft here. Again, you know, it would be nice if I could find another one of these, but I'm not holding my breath. The base on our swivel, I don't know if you can see it. It looks like there might have been a repair here and here. It looks like there's been a little bit of brazing done there, and then definitely over on this side. So it's chipped or cracked or something, and they brazed it. I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. I'm gonna smooth this one out to make it less noticeable. Really not going to, even though this has still got a little bit of chipping there, I'm not going to do anything about that. Don't care. Same here. Going to clean these up just a little bit more, file them down, paint it. Not going to worry about it. Other than that, it's still very, very functional. So all the swivel mount parts are very functional, except for I'm missing one of these. Moving on to the major pieces, you can definitely see where this nut was welded / brazed in. Yeah, that's not normal. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but you can see a pretty discerning line there between the cast iron and the braze here. It's pretty consistent all the way around. Oh, I didn't even notice this. There's one of the pinholes. So, you know, where it's supposed to be put together with. Is there one on the other side? Yep, sure enough. So that pinhole's there too. Wonder, let's get something to poke with. Is that just full of goop, or is it got a pin in it? Nope, it's no pins in that. Alright, well, that's interesting. That's going to kind of change the way I approach what I was going to do. So now that I know those pins are there and functioning, and I can see the very real line where this was supposed to end, I'm going to change what I was going to do, because I was going to leave this braze, but now I'm not. So I'm going to cut off everything I can here and try to make this piece back to normal. I don't have another lead screw or the end piece that's supposed to be here or the case nut, and I don't really want to buy that, because this, in the end, this is not a restoration. So I'm going to do more what I would call a Restomod. where I'm going to modify it and make it look pretty stock, but it's going to be definitely hot rodded up. Back to the pieces. The bottom is nice and smooth, clean. That's nice. No discernible damage here. Everything's limited to here. I haven't removed the jaws yet. I still need to do that. Yeah, this jaw, other than this butchery down here, looks pretty good. I'm basically going to chop that off right there and then build my own case nut, or I think it's called case nuts, I'm not positive. Build my own internal nut to use with this gigantic screw, which hopefully we'll be able to cut it off like here so it doesn't protrude out, and at least get rid of that part of this. And then down here on this end, you can see where this has been brazed, the mounting collar is missing. I really don't know what's going on here, and I really don't want to get into reworking all this. So I think I'm going to leave this. I'm going to leave the giant screw, but hopefully cut it off shorter with my plan. And then we have this massive handle that we're going to leave as well, but we'll make this look better. Yeah, that's the parts there. And then I'm also going to turn this into a 5-inch vise instead of a 4-inch. I'm going to add steel to the ends and then make new longer jaws. That's the plan. As you can see, I ran out of cutoff wheels. I didn't have any extras. I found one, finished up, then I had to resort to the old hacksaw, and it's pretty dull itself, so it wasn't fun. Anyway, one thing I didn't realize, should have looked a little closer, the casing didn't end where I thought it did. It actually just stepped in there. You can see the band of the braze around the outside, and then it was a little further. It looks like maybe, I don't know, an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch, can't tell. Doesn't matter, but if I'd known, I probably would have tried to get rid of the braze and left that piece in there. But it's in the end, it's going to be all right, because I'm going to flip this around and use this. Meanwhile, we need to dress this up a bit, get it flat. Now, that was one major leap of faith, I guess, whatever you want to call it, because, you know, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just guesstimating. I'm just kind of winging it as I go. So my thought is I'm going to make a case nut out of this part, and that extends down into here, inside the other jaw, and that's going to go in there. Let's go ahead and make the other big leap of faith. Since we're leaving all this end intact, let's make this more manageable, at least, if we can get it through that hole down there. Use plenty of grease in here. Come on out of there. There we go. Oh, it spun over. Shoot. Got. All right, try again. Tag on it. All right, get in the keyway. There we go. In there. Okay. Got our jaws all together. Now, I am going to leave a little of this out. I'm not going to cut it off back here, because I am going to, since I'm going to have a 5-inch jaw eventually, I think I want it to be able to open up a little further. So I'm gonna have a longer thread screw on here. Clean this goop off the end. Ugh. That's some nasty old smelly grease. Okay, good enough for now, I guess. I'd like to get more out of there so I could. Let's go ahead and for the time being put this back on there to hold it all together. Okay, so our thought process is here. I'm going to be using, I think I want like this much of it. I am going to be extending the bullet, make it longer when I make my own bullet here. So I think what I'm going to do is cut it off about right here. And then for now, that makes this less awkward to store and handle. And, you know, gets off 6 inches of this shaft. And we'll just deal with the fallout as it become. You know, worst case scenario, I destroy this and sell it for parts. I don't know. Okay, well, starting to look a little more like it should. Still got a ways to go with this. But that's going to be about it for today. I'm going to have to, I'm getting ready to go out of town tomorrow. I'll be back by the time you see this, but I'm getting ready to go out of town for a week. And we'll have to start back up on it then. I got too much other stuff I got to get done before I leave. So, but I'm pleased with this quick progress. I see my vision, what's going on here, so I think it's going to work. We'll find out when I get back. Well, I filmed that video probably 6 months ago, back when I got this vise. I still haven't done anything with the vise since tearing it down and cleaning it, but that's about to change. And the main thing was I really couldn't come up with a good plan of what I was going to do or how I was going to try to fix this, because actually I was a little disappointed, and like I didn't know enough about these vices when I bought them than to see that this one had been heavily modified over the years. I kind of think that's cool now. It's kind of like finding an old hot rod that survived, and you kind of enjoy what the previous builders did to it. That's kind of how I'm going to do this. I'm going to embrace what they've done. I'm going to try to make it more like what I want. If you didn't know, these Wilton vices have a huge following, and they sell for actually pretty good money. So I paid 80 bucks for this, and I was starting to think I got ripped off. But I think it'll be all right. It does have a lot of brazing and stuff on it. It's, you know, I'm just gonna have to embrace the character of what was there, and I'm gonna have to add my own modifications and make it mine, and I think we'll be okay in the end. So, like I said, I didn't have a plan, so like for 6 months I've been stewing about this vise and what to do with it. I think I finally got a plan together, and I'm going to start working on this vise to get it back into shape so I can actually use it. So I'm going to have a video coming up. I'm just going to cut this video here, and I'll do another video when I start making my modifications to save this vise. Till then, YouTube, later.